Hi Teresa, so I've been making some progress with the SSIS packages this evening, and just wanted to give you a progress update as to where I was with it. Starting off where we did before, using this DH playground, this _ test SSIS config database and these tables. So you can see the moment they're both populated, I'm just going to get rid of those, just so as you can see there's no smoke and mirrors with any of this. What I discovered was that rather than exporting the full connection string to the DTS config file, is if we export the InitialCatalog and the server name, that will give us a lot more control over where the data is getting set. I know that the InitialCatalog, i.e. the database name, was the sort of challenge that we were trying to deal with earlier. I think we do also need to deal with the server name, just in case in the future we have more nodes. But I've done this test package down. All it does is now is delete from that temporary table I created and insert a value into the temporary table. Just wanted to take out all the extra bits that I added in to save any confusion. So what we have now is a DTS config file that looks something like this. We've got this configuration heading, which you might notice the subtle differences. I've changed this generated from this package ID because it's largely irrelevant. We don't really need that stuff in there, and actually when you're running the package from dtexec, it doesn't need it. Visual Studio will complain about it if it's not in there, but actually in terms of running the DTS packages themselves, whether that be in a development environment, whether that be in live, it doesn't really need that information. In fact, I'll get rid of it just to illustrate. And let's save that. So now all I've got in here is the server name and the InitialCatalog. So server DH playground, we'll start off with that, and just a variable that I'm chucking in there just because that's the value that I want to go into the table. I know this isn't anything to do with reality, but it's just me testing. So I'll run the package. We've got test SSIS Config.dtsx. We've got test SSIS Config 01.dtsConfig, and that value that I'm passing in just for a laugh. So if we run that runs successfully, and you will find that when we run this, sure enough, in DH Playground we've got that value coming through from the config file. Nothing in here. Now, I know what you're going to say is, well, this is still hard-coded, this is still part of the config, but it doesn't need to be. Okay, what we can do is get rid of that, file, save, and instead of having it in the config file, we can have it as one of the parameters. So now, as well as my passed-in variable, I've got this InitialCatalog is test SSIS config, i.e. that database name is now part of the the variables that we're passing into this dtexec command. go. And that doesn't like it. That's because I've run the wrong one. It was missing this set. I did that earlier. It missed a set, so it's just the same as up here, just with that set. So let's run that. That's run successfully. So now in Management Studio, we've got that value in SSIS test config. One other thing you may or may not have noticed, because I didn't point it out before, was that we had, it was in here, we had my passed in variable, and that's the value that is written to those tables. In the command that I just ran, I wanted it to be my passed in variable. It wasn't. That's because the config file took priority. It seems, for whatever reason, the config files takes priority over whatever I might have passed in. So I'm going to get rid of that line as well. And we're now passing in both the database name and the variable. Just hit return on that. And again, I've forgotten to do set on it. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, that's now run. So if we give that an F5, we've now got my passed in variable. So your config file is going to take priority over whatever you've put in your parameters when you've run dtexec, but we can override those values. Now, the reason that I think that overriding the server name is going to be important is in the future. At the moment we've just got the one node. In the future we might have multiple nodes. Now maybe we'll get away with putting localhost in there or something like that, but you know, just in case that doesn't work for us, then we can take that out as well, and again pass that as one of the parameters. I hope that makes sense. I think I've covered everything. For sure you can now specify the database name, so we can deal with the fact that that may change. But yeah, look forward to talking to you about it very soon.